Hello, everybody. This is Yasser Al-Naimi from Film Talks, and our guest today is Greg Johnson. He is a composer that works with a lot of directors here in Qatar and in Hollywood. Greg, why don't you introduce yourself? You're gonna do a better job than I did.
I don't know. You did a pretty good job. But like you said, my name's Greg Johnson. I'm a media composer. I do a lot of TV, short films, video games. And for the last, I guess, decade or so, I've been collaborating a lot with people in Qatar, working on TV shows and short films and commercials, you name it. So it's been the primary focus of my work has been in Doha the last, particularly 3 or 4 years.
Wow. But also, Greg, you are part of On Being Human, the rock band, right?
Yeah, I'm in a rock band called On Being Human. I play guitar. We've been around forever. We have a new album coming out soon called In Search of Adam. We've had our songs again in sort of independent movies out there, and we've sang for trailers and stuff like that. And yeah, so that's always fun.
I mean, you guys were pretty big. I mean, like Shout, that track was amazing. Like every club I go to, like it plays, everybody just knows that song. And you guys also did video games as well, right?
Yeah, we did some video games. Because I sort of write music for movies and video games anyways, and two of the other guys used to do it as well. The last video game we did was called Strike Tactics, and it was a online video game, like browser based, but it was sort of like what do they call it, strategy games, sort of like Warcraft. And they wanted like a hard rock synth soundtrack, so I just brought in my guys. I was like, hey, let's just do what we do, and then that will be the soundtrack.
And it was amazing. Like you guys, like what you do personally is amazing with soundtracks and also like your songs with the band and everything. But tell us more about like your relationship with the Qatari film industry. Like how did it start?
So 2000. How old am I? 2010, I believe. 2010. I had a friend who was in Doha, and he was working with Ahmed Al Baker, of course, our mutual friend.
Yeah.
And we were doing a independent film called The Package Volume 1. Were you on that, by the way?
No, I wasn't. No.
Was that before you?
Yeah, that was before my time.
I reached out to my friend who was the editor on it, and I said, I was like, hey, do you need music? Just kind of threw it out there. And he was like, actually, yes, we do. And they were doing a 7-minute long teaser for the package that was going to play at the Tribeca Film Festival in Doha before it changed to Ajal. So 2010. And they were like, we need 7 minutes of music, and it needs to be done in 48 hours. I'm like, sweet, got it. So I actually called to the guys.
There's no pressure, right?
Yeah. I called to the guys on Being Human to have them come over and help me, and we stayed up all night. Like I would sleep, and Bo or Travis, that's the bass player and the singer, they'd be working, someone would be sleeping. And so, I mean, we were so young. I hadn't done a ton. I had done a little bit. I had done some video games, but I'd never done like a film. So we did the 7-minute teaser. We sent it to Ahmed, and he loved it. And essentially, that's how the whole thing started. That went and it played at the Tribeca Film Festival and opened a lot of doors for Ahmed. And then that sort of like led to Innovation, which is how I met you. So Innovation, we did Lockdown, Red Moon Escape. We did we did help me out here.
Moon,
Karar.
I think you guys did Smitcha, right?
No, we didn't do that one.
No.
That one was like all oud, and
yeah,
I'm not a very good oud player.
Yeah, well, that's actually an interesting segue. So you've been like working with rock music mostly, before you began with working with Ahmed Al Bakr and like the Innovation team. So when you started working with Qatari filmmakers, like they wanted to have some of the like Arabic traditional instruments. So how did you cope with that?
So Ahmed usually likes a little bit more like I guess Western based soundtracks, but he
Mhm.
always likes to add in like little flares of oud or a duduk. Um, so I ended up buying an oud, and because it is sort of like a guitar, and I am a guitarist, I can play it a little bit.
Wow, I
Um,
didn't know that.
I wouldn't say I'm very good at it, but if I need to do something very simple,
Do
I
you
can
have
pull
it
it.
with you now?
Yeah, here it's right here.
Yeah.
So this is my oud.
Wow. Okay.
Um,
Did
this
you
is
buy
a
that in Doha?
no, I bought it here actually. This is a Turkish oud,
Uh-huh.
and there's a music store that Ben Harper, he's like a famous blues player.
Mhm.
His family owns, and it's right down the street from my house.
Wow.
And they have a lot of world instruments. So I have this. I have a Turkish jumbush that I took all the strings off. It only has one string on there right now.
Can you play
Um,
something for us?
oh, I'm not good enough to play. I think
Like
it's
anything, anything.
I won't embarrass myself. Um, but yeah, so there's that. I have an Xtara, which is like a single string instrument. I've been buying over the last like 5, 6 years. I buy a lot of ethnic and world instruments, particularly ones that are stringed,
Yeah.
because I can understand them at least as a guitar player. And while I can't perform them great, I can maybe make a sample, or I can just do like a little tiny thing, or make an interesting sound out of it. If I need anything more complicated, though, I usually hire out people.
Mhm.
Um, so we brought in different players from Qatar to play
Wow.
on different soundtracks. And, I've done some stuff for the DFI.
Yeah.
I've done maybe
You worked on
5.
what was that? I'm Not My Father as well.
I'm Not My Father. Oh yeah, you had
Yeah.
Nathan, the
Yeah.
right? So
Nice.
I
Yeah.
worked with him. Yeah, I do a lot with DFI. So I've done 5 or 6, and so we'll bring in like percussionists or um, oud, like people who can actually play it, not like me. But and
So
then I can work around it.
wow, that's amazing actually. So with all of this, like, Middle Eastern instruments and music, have you ever thought of, like, making your own Middle Eastern track?
You know what? Here's the hard the hard thing about that. Um, there's such a different sort of tonality to it, and even rhythmically speaking. So a
Mhm.
lot of times people do give me a brief, and I'll have like a Kaliji beat, like is in the reference. Um, or did I say that right? Kaliji.
Khalid yeah.
um, and that's really hard actually for someone who grew up in the West to sort of understand that push and pull.
Hmm.
Um, whenever I can bring in other players to help me uh, cross that gap, because I would rather hire someone to help me than for me to do like a bad imitation of
That's
it.
smart. Yeah, I mean, that's smart. That's the way to do it.
But as the years have gone by, I get a little bit better at understanding it, and I've had like tracks that I've like sort of analyzed. Um, but sometimes it's like with the like the tuning systems of like an oud.
Yeah.
There's notes that as a person who grew up in the West, we don't even hear them. They don't fit into the 12 tones that we have in
Mhm.
Western music. So if someone who grew up in California hears it, they might think, "Oh, that's just out of tune." Like, no, that's a note. I'm just not used to hearing it. So um,
Wow, that's
I've been trying to slowly wrap my brain around
yeah,
that
that's
over
a
the years.
huge adjustment. But I mean, I've
Yeah.
heard your work. I've worked with you for years, and I've heard some of the tracks that you made for Medina, the television series, and they're
Mhm.
just mesmerizing.
Oh,
Like,
thank you.
it was amazing, man. Like, I love your work. I love what you did with that. Like, when I heard that, I was like, "Is that Greg?" And Ahmed's like, "Yes, that's him."
Yeah, so Medina, we had some players. What was really interesting was Ahmed. He had an idea for a certain. I can't say too much because the show's not
Yeah,
out yet. But there's certain characters that he wanted a very um, unique sound, and he wanted to bring in. Um,
just like
um,
Fargo, like every character had his own, like,
yeah,
beat coming into the scene.
but there's a type of like chanting that happens like in the desert.
Mhm.
Um, in I don't know what it's
I
called.
don't want you to say too much. We'll just, like, stop at everybody has their own like tone going into the scene.
Sure, but yeah, so we brought in influences from like all over, because Medina is such a wide show. Like it's sci-fi, it's drama. There's like it's insane. So we really kind of stretched ourselves in terms of like what we could do with music and genre.
Wow. So with Medina, I know you did like the tracks for the episodes and everything. The main opening theme was done by I forgot his name. Yeah. So did you collaborate with him on that, like to get like there was like you and there was like Don Al Fardan as well, right?
Did Dana work on Medina?
I think there was some tracks she did for that. Or was it just you?
I just recently met her, so that'd be fun. I didn't even ask her actually when I met her. I met her in October, last time I was in a while.
Yeah, so it was you, her, and also Muslimani, right?
Sorry, who?
I think the guy that made the first, like the opening track, was his name Muslimani, I think.
Oh.
Ali bin Ali, I think, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he was on the show before I was, and he commissioned to write the theme, and he wrote this amazing theme, and they tracked it with the orchestra there at Qatari Studios.
Yeah.
And
I filmed it.
Were you there?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that footage actually. So he was originally on before I was, and I came on later, first as I was doing all the teasers. So I did the teaser for Comic-Con, and they had character teasers, and I did all that. And eventually it just worked out with timing and scheduling that I would go ahead and take over the show. Yeah. So he scored the first episode, and then I did like just a little bit on the first episode, and then I ran from there. So episodes 2 through, well, maybe I can't say how many episodes.
Nice.
I did the rest. So
you did an amazing job, man. I mean, I loved it. What do you have like planned for the future? I mean, with Ahmed or Qatar Studios, or like in Qatar, or like in Hollywood as well?
Well, right now I'm working on 2 shows for Al Jazeera. So Breaking the Chains and Cinema Show, which are both airing currently. 2 completely different genres. One's like light and playful, and it's for people who haven't seen about cinema. What's the Arabic? How do you say it in Arabic?
Ana cinema.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It translates to. Yeah.
So like it's talking about different kinds of genres of film and different directors and stuff like that. So a lot of times I'll do like they'll talk about like a John Williams cue, and then I'll go to maybe like a Hans Zimmer, like it's talking about Superman and then Batman, right? The new Batman. And so I'll write pieces of music that sort of bridge the gap between the two, which is kind of interesting to kind of just train myself. Like I can listen to like a Woody Allen film and like what is he doing with his music, and then kind of quickly come up with something that kind of sounds like that without ripping anyone off. And there's like tons and tons of cues, so it's like 22 cues an episode for a 22-minute
I mean,
show.
The episode sounds amazing. Like you really feel that the music bridges like 2 scenes.
Because you got to connect that. So when she hits pause, Rita Khan, when she hits pause, you don't want it to be like dead silent. So that's where I come in and I bridge all the gaps. And I did the theme and the credits.
You did an amazing job.
Oh, thank you. And then Breaking the Change is much more like the round table women's issues in the Arab world, and I'm doing a lot more soft piano string type music. And in the second season, I'm leaning a little bit more into like Middle Eastern flavors in the score as well, which has been really good and really like stretching my abilities.
I mean, that's amazing, man. I mean, you did amazing work, and I wish you the best of luck in your career. I mean, the future looks bright for you. I mean, you're an amazing musician, and thank you so much for being here with me in this episode.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Take care.